Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us, one and all. It's so good to be with you. Today is a good day. And even in these unusual times we find ourselves in, I'm happy to be able to share that good news with you all today. With the selection of the next judge who will serve on Indiana's Court of Appeals. This marks the 46th time that I've had the honor, and it is indeed an honor, to make a judicial appointment. I've said it before, 45 times as a matter of fact, and particularly in regards to the two higher courts. These decisions are among the most important that any governor at any time will ever make. I say that because they will, in all likelihood, the appointee's tenure will long outlive whoever the governor is that's making that decision at the time. And so understanding of that, and of course, maybe more importantly, the decisions that this individual will take part in and how it impacts the direction our state goes, serves as a real reminder about each of the three lanes of government that we find ourselves inside this building and in our daily lives. Almost without exception, our judges see citizens maybe when they're struggling the most, maybe when all other venues or avenues have led to this final destination or this place of resolution, sometimes in their darkest hours to resolve the issue before them and their families. And yet, time and time again, I'm just encouraged. I am awed by the talent that always steps forward. In fact, usually before the day of the selection, but just in the aspiration that an individual must demonstrate throughout their life. And then that high standard of conduct that we expect of those in this branch, but also they expect of themselves and demonstrate it on a daily basis. So I do want to go back first and thank the Judicial Nominating Committee itself for presenting these three individuals and these three specific aspirants. You did not make this an easy decision or a quick decision, but I guess if you look at the glass half full, I couldn't go wrong. I couldn't make a wrong decision. Each of these three top-notch candidates that were put forward would have served admirably in this position of responsibility, and certainly under your leadership, Chief Justice Rush. I want to thank you for your leadership and your stewardship once again. As a history buff, myself, the Chief Justice, Judge Altice, Judge Baker, and Leanna, all three of us, I think it's of particular note that this is only the second time that all three of the finalists have been women, but that's not surprising today. We continue to see the highest caliber of Hoosiers step forward. Again, that's not just encouraging, it's refreshing that folks are pursuing this calling at this very hour. It just gives me immense professional satisfaction and pleasure to present to you Judge Leanna Weissman, who will serve on Indiana's Court of Appeals. And let me share just three quick things about Leanna, both on the professional side of the house and on the personal side of the house that I've come to get to know better in the last so many weeks. First and foremost, Judge Weissman is a true legal scholar, and you will quickly determine that on your own when you spend about 5 minutes with you. You go right there with a quickness, and she will bring that keen intellect and wit and work ethic to the court. She knows this court firsthand. The bulk of her career has been undertaking appellate work before the Court of Appeals, before the Indiana Supreme Court, in fact, even before the United States Supreme Court. And I'll answer the question for you. She won that case. She has handled all types of cases, as a matter of fact, both civil and criminal. She brings just a breadth and depth of knowledge that will serve herself, her colleagues, and of course our state well in all walks of life. Just really came to appreciate that diversity of experience that you've been exposed to throughout your entire life. She also has a reputation, a good reputation, amongst her peers and amongst her colleagues. That became very obvious very quickly throughout this whole long process. Appellate judges and justices alike described her as, quote, a terrific litigator, an excellent lawyer. One said that she is absolutely a stunningly good lawyer, while another said she exhibits, and I love this one, Hoosier horse sense and humility. And I hope your humility will allow you to celebrate just a little about this well-earned recognition. And more than one colleague mentioned her expertise, again, was in this wide variety of legal subjects: criminal law, family law, business law, commercial law, all the above. In her practice of the law, she's come before the court that she will join and handled over 400 appeals. So, you know the neighborhood, including devoting numerous hours of pro bono cases, which just speaks volumes. The Chief Justice and I have had, I know this is an area of passion for you, making sure Hoosiers have access, and that's shared by Leanna, so that's wonderful to see. As a practicing lawyer, she understands, because she comes from having to manage a practice and also at the very same time work with clients. It's worth noting that it's been 20 years since a practicing attorney has been appointed to the Court of Appeals. And Judge Weissman will bring that unique perspective to this appellate court. Second, Leanna's commitment to improving the legal system extends far outside the courtroom walls. And you really have devoted your entire life to serving and having collateral duties outside of the office. For the past 7 years, she has served on the Indiana Supreme Court Disciplinary Commission and on the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. She has taught 4 legal courses each semester at Ivy Tech Community College in Lawrenceburg. And in everything she does, it always goes back to that community commitment. It always, is shining through. She's been a literacy instructor. I love the story that I learned along the way about when you met an elderly man who had quit school in the 5th grade, and you stepped in to help him. He wanted to be able to read to his grandchildren, and you did that for him, and so therefore did that for his family. You've been a Girl Scout troop leader for 13 years, and a life member of the Girl Scouts of America. You've been a big sister. From 2010 to 2016, Leanna created and maintained, that's something in and of itself, is to not just create it, but then to also care for it and nurture it, but maintain it, this internet outreach program for tween girls. Leanna is a certified aerobics instructor and offers free aerobics classes in her community. And if that weren't enough, she's also found time to run, not for office, she's smarter than that, but she's found time to run half marathons, having done 14 half marathons, which is 14 more than I've ever done, or 7 more full marathons, depending on how you measure. And then third, Leanna was born and raised, and with the only exception being at Indiana University at during your college years, has resided in Dearborn County, and specifically in Aurora, Indiana, and maybe even more specifically in the woods just outside of Aurora. But you have that address, and she'll be the first appointee from Southeast Indiana to join the appellate court in over 2 decades. Interestingly, the man that she is replacing, Judge John Baker, is also from Aurora, Indiana. There must be something in the water down there that produces such legal acumen. As a matter of fact, I would be remiss if I didn't just profusely thank Judge Baker for your exemplary service over the years, steering our state from the bench, first in Monroe County, and then as the longest-serving member on the Court of Appeals. Thank you, Judge Baker. Leanna, as you know, personally and professionally, Judge Baker's shoes are big ones to fill. But we have all the faith and confidence in the world that you will, in fact, fill them and grow into your own as well. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention one other legendary judicial giant in our state's history, that of Judge Robert Rucker, who you came to know early on, so to speak. Right out of law school, Leanna's first job was as a law clerk to Judge Rucker, who was then on the Court of Appeals. And Leanna, what a privilege that must have been to have been up close and personal and professional with one of Indiana's finest judges ever. Justice Rucker obviously recognized talent back then. When he selected you, he was right then, and he is right today. And I'm sure that he made you earn it. The discussions that we have had have made you a better attorney. So let me just say in closing, I'd like to make one final kind of general of the moment observation. Just last week, our nation marked the 100th anniversary of women obtaining the right to vote. It took women and others almost 70 plus years after that to fight to obtain that essential right. Some of you may know that Antoinette Dockin Leach was the first woman admitted to practice law in the state of Indiana. But what you might not know is that while her initial petition for admission to the bar in 1893 was denied, her successful appeal to the Indiana Supreme Court broke the gender barrier and secured the right for women to practice law in the state. And that landmark decision, a progressive one at the time, of course, also set a precedent that was used in 1897 as a test case to give Indiana women the right to vote. But it would take another 85 years for a woman to be appointed to the Indiana Court of Appeals. And that woman was Sue Shields, appointed in 1978. So 42 years ago, it may seem like a long time, but relatively speaking, not too long ago. She was a true pioneer for women lawyers, not just here in Indiana, but for the nation. Now, since Judge Shields served, there's been 6 other women have been appointed and are currently serving on the Court of Appeals. And Leanna, you will make 7, serving alongside your 8 male counterparts. By the way, Judge Altice, all incredible, skilled legal minds as well. So with all that said, to add one last item to her long list of accomplishments, and I really narrowed that down. Here's one, or maybe I should say 3, that Leanna, I think you're most proud of. At least this shined through as well. Her husband, Bob, and our parents to their 3 children, Drew and Chris and Lauren. And I'm told that while Chris may be taller. Drew is 1 minute older. They are twins. And he said that was the best minute of his life, being an only child, at least for a few years. Leanna, you said he told that story for the first 10 years of his life. But for all of these reasons, and again, I could go on and on and on, I could not be more certain, Leanna, that you, as Judge Leanna Wiseman, are in fact the right choice to join our state's second highest court. And I'm confident that you will serve honorably and justly and write your own chapter in our state's history as the newest member of Indiana's Court of Appeals. Congratulations, Judge Wiseman.
Thank you, Governor Holcomb. Wow, what a journey. This has been an amazing journey for me. We put our binders in for this job right as the state was closing for the pandemic. And as many of you may or may not know, Indiana follows a merit-based selection for the appellate courts, and that means that there's a lot of scrutiny and a lot of people that are involved that give a lot of their time, especially Judicial Nominating Committee, in exchange for, I believe, lunch or maybe a sandwich. And they spend all of this time vetting candidates and doing so much good to make sure that our judiciary stays good and in a good place in Indiana. And it's been amazing to me and very proud to see how all of these people have adapted to the pandemic and got the job done, because the wheels of justice turn in Indiana, because we as Hoosiers, we just get it done. We put on masks, we socially distance, we wash our hands, and we get it done. And here I am today, just very, very happy to be taking Judge Baker's place, although nobody can take Judge Baker's place. He is an institute in and of himself with the Court of Appeals. I've practiced in front of him for a good many years and respect him. And he just has such a history of service. And I hope to pick up where he left off, but nobody can replace him. He does have some big shoes to fill. I am, again, just honored and humbled. This has been a dream of mine since I worked for the Court of Appeals for Judge Rucker. I knew the Court of Appeals was a wonderful place to be. And I spent 2 years under his tutelage and then left and was released to the practice of law on good state because of his mentorship, and started a small town practice in the smallest county in Indiana. So I had a lot of fun, maybe in the morning arguing a riparian rights case on the Ohio River, and then spending the afternoon in New Albany in bankruptcy court. You just never knew what was going to come in the door. And I just always have appreciated Judge Rucker for his mentorship and his ability to get me started on a good practice of law. You don't get to be in this position without so many people helping you, giving you advice, giving you grace along the way. And there are so many people that I could name, and if I started naming names, I would forget some. And for all of the help that I've received, I say thank you. And I could spend a lifetime trying to repay it and not be able to do so, so I will pay it forward. So thank you all for your help in helping me to achieve my goals. I also want to say thanks to my family. Without their help, I could not have reached the point of success. After I got pregnant with the twins, I went to home practice, and Bob was very instrumental in helping with everything so that we could raise our kids together and I could be home with the kids. And the kids put up with a lot of coming to the office door to get the one more minute, mom's got a brief to finish, just wait a minute, which really they knew meant an hour, but one more minute. And they were very patient with that. And in the last 6 months, they have been my biggest cheerleaders. So Drew, Chris, and Lauren, I thank you for that. And I do want to let you know, even though Mom has a new job, I'm still going to be up in your business. I still will be your biggest cheerleaders. I'm still going to be there cheering you on, worried about you, giving you advice whether you want it or not. And it'll be loud and it'll be embarrassing, but it's going to happen. So I also want to just let you know how excited I am to work as a judge with the Court of Appeals. I have a long history with the court and have gotten to know the 14 judges fairly well in my practice, and I know that they are intelligent, interesting people all, and all bring strengths to the court, and I am anxious for their mentorship and their help so that I can bring my own voice to the court as well, and I'm just excited to get to know them as people, get to know them better, and to call them colleagues. And finally, I just want to say thank you to the governor and the governor's staff. I am humbled and honored that you would place this trust in me, and I will do my best to ensure that it's not misplaced and to do my best for all of our fellow Hoosiers. And thank you very much.
Chief Justice Rush, would you care to provide some remarks?
Judge Weissman, welcome. We're looking forward to you joining us. And Governor Holcomb and his team, and you're here, the diligence and hard work that you put into the 46 judges, and then looking at, it's not like you don't have anything else going on these days. I'm so appreciative, and I see the time that you put in, and what a great result that we have here today. I also want to thank the Judicial Nominating Commission. 3 members are appointed by the governor. They're non-lawyers. 3 are appointed by attorneys throughout the state. They put in hundreds of hours vetting these candidates, calling these references to make sure we provide the governor with the 3 most outstanding candidates we have before us. So I want to thank the commission. But let's talk about you, Leanna. What a star. I will miss you standing before me arguing cases. I always look forward to you going up there, and I always knew we were going to get a whale of an argument from you. Not that you won a lot, having read, some of the sides that you had, you take tough cases, and I appreciate that. And I think the fact that you've taken such tough cases, it's going to make you a stronger appellate judge. And I look forward to reading your opinion, because I get to read a lot of your opinions. And I will say the Court of Appeals, even the pandemic, have not slowed down. They're putting out so much work right now, it's hard to keep up. So you're going to be joining a busy court and have an active docket. But what a rich and varied path you had as an attorney leading you to this date. And I got to talk about Justice Rucker. I just called him because he's so excited. He has this understated way. Chief Justice Rush, what's going on with Leanna? Well, you know that he's saying, she's wonderful. And I got a quote from him that he wanted to tell you in person today. And this is from Justice Rucker. I was very excited to learn that Governor Holcomb has appointed Leanna Weissman to the Court of Appeals to fill the vacancy occasioned by the retirement of Judge John Baker. This is an excellent choice. Eminently qualified, Leanna has a compelling life story. She is innovative, hardworking, kind, and compassionate, with a temperament and demeanor well-suited for judicial office. I wish to thank Leanna with much success, and I applaud Governor Holcomb for his decision. You practiced law for 25 years in a small community, those individual needs that come before us. You know the issues that Hoosiers need to have addressed in a timely and fair fashion by the court. How many thousands of people did you represent? You served as a judicial referee. You've been on the bench. You served as a judicial referee for 8 years, so you've got a feel for what it's like to have been on the trial bench. In your 7-year tour of duty on the disciplinary commission, reading hundreds and hundreds of complaints, being there at the forefront for the quality control to make sure that we have a strong bench and a strong bar. So we really thank you for your service. I was in reading over your reference letter. You were said to be tech savvy, and you helped bring technology work. You fought and advocated for more bandwidth down in your county to make sure that electronic filing the wheels and justice could go on. People talked about your gentle demeanor and professional decorum. I love the fact in your application for the court, you actually did a board game to teach civics education to high school students. And as a judge and as a public servant, we have to promote civics education. We have to have our students and our children understand the importance of government and know that. I kept your board game, by the way. You cut out each card and gave it to me, so I loved it. I've used it. And then I have, to sort of close, you had a client write a letter on your behalf, which sort of summed up who you are as an attorney and the character of the person that's coming on the appellant bench. And I'm just going to quote from a client of Leanne's. She goes, "I'm so amazed at the fact that money was not a factor in helping me and making me the #1 priority. Leanna filed everything within a day of receiving my case. She eased my concerns and helped me when all was lost. She was my light in a dark time in my life. Leanna made me feel that someone was listening to me when I needed somebody the most. Without Leanna in my corner, I was for sure going to lose my son. Leanna was persistent in making sure my voice was heard, and without her, I would be lost." I'm sorry for the clients you won't represent, but the wider clients and the good that you're going to do for the state of Indiana, welcome and congratulations, Judge Wiseman.
Judge Altice?
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Altice. I'm one of the 15 judges, I should say one of the 8 males left on the Court of Appeals. Judge Bradford normally would be in this role, being our chief judge. However, as you've heard, he's busy trying to select yet 3 more judges that Governor Holcomb is going to have to pick from, or 3 more sets of 3. I should say. But we're here today because Leanna Weissman has been chosen to be our new colleague, and I can't tell you how excited we all are. I was going through looking at your bio last night, and I'm like, she's going to be perfect. When I look at all the things that you've done outside the practice of law, I'm incredibly impressed. Just so you know, your 14 colleagues and the one that you're replacing, we all believe that that is the most important, one of the most important things we can do in addition to our job. We feel like it's our obligation, and so you're going to fit in absolutely fine in that regard. So I also think it's interesting, a lot of times judges that get selected to the Court of Appeals are trial judges, and you've had some experience with that, but that has not been your full-time gig, so to speak. So we always say to the new trial judge that's coming on the court and say to them, well, we've seen their work and we know they're good. In your case, it's unusual. We have all seen tons of your work because you write, and you're an appellate lawyer, so we all know what we're getting. I will echo what the Chief Justice says. Even some of the cases are, quite honestly, not real good in your client's favor, but you always write a tremendous brief. You hit all the issues, and your work is just phenomenal. So anyway, having said all that, I was up here to your family. You will always remember this. What a cool time. Literally, I was here 5 years ago to the day. Actually, it was September 2nd is when I was sitting in your chair. So look forward to have you. As we like to say on the Court of Appeals, it's a great gig. And we're ready for you. Judge Crone, Judge Robb, and I have spent the last few months revamping our new judge mentorship program. And it looks really good, and we're ready for you, and look forward to seeing you in hopefully a few days. So anyway, congratulations. We're excited.
All right. Rachel, you want to go to Q&A, and maybe Judge Weissman might field a handful or so, or me.
Eric Berman, WIBC.
Good afternoon, Eric.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Congratulations. My question is for Judge Weissman. What is it that's drawn you over the years to appellate practice as opposed to trial court practice? I'm sure you've done some trial work, but what is it that's appealed to you, no pun intended, about appellate work?
Yeah, pun I've heard often. Appellate practice is appealing to me because I was one of those geeks in law school who really did like to write memorandums and briefs. I enjoyed law review, so I really liked having the opportunity to dig deep into a case and do research and read cases and see where the law was going. I'm innately curious, and I'm always wondering how the law got from point A to point B. So the appellate practice was a really good fit for me. And it made sense after I left Judge Rucker's office and did several years of private practice and doing a lot of things. When I got pregnant with the twins, I also wanted to be somewhat of a stay-at-home mom, and the practice is much more flexible than trial court practice. So that's several different reasons that led me to do the appellate practice.
Olivia, the Indiana lawyer.
Hi, Judge Weissman. I wanted to ask you about the transition from appellate litigation to the appellate judiciary. What do you think that transition is going to be like for you, and do you think that's going to be a learning curve, learning to be a full-time judge?
Well, apparently I have 3 mentors ready to help me along the way, so hopefully the transition will be smooth. I'm sure that I will have a lot to learn going from a litigator to the person on the other side, and writing the opinions, but I will do what I always do when I don't know something, is call somebody who does, and I will rely on my colleagues to help me make that transition, and hopefully it will be smooth because I'm used to doing the research and the writing, which is a large part of what my new job will entail.
Rob Burgess, the Wabash Plain Dealer.
Hello, good afternoon. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so this question is for whoever wants to tackle it, actually, and it's a bit long, so bear with me. So this year there are 6 Court of Appeals judges up for retention on the ballot. In the past, when I have tried to compile voter guide information on judges, I've found it extremely difficult. I've been told judges can't campaign or answer voters or media questions due to the Indiana Code of Judicial Conduct. And according to the Indiana Election Division, the party information is not required to be included on the ballot for judges by state law, so it's not included. I know there's a merit selection committee and also a website set up to include additional biographical information on judges up for retention, but when voters go to the polls, they'll just see a name and be asked whether or not they should be retained. My question is the current system fair to voters? Is there a better way to go about this so that they have more information when they actually go to cast their ballot? And why ask voters if judges should be retained at all if so little information is available?
So I'm the newbie here, and I may defer to Madam Chief Justice.
No one better in the House.
Thank you. We do have a robust website with all the individual judges that are up for retention, and it includes, you can access their opinions, so you can look deeper than that. The other thing that we're doing, because we think transparency is so important with regard to, we now have a public portal that a lot of counties are on because constitutionally courts have to be open, so you can watch those judges, and you can go, the Court of Appeals arguments are live streamed, and they're archived, as are the Supreme Court arguments live streamed and archived. So the one justice that's up for retention, the Court of Appeals judge is up, you can watch their oral arguments, you can read their cases, you could contact them, and then there's a lot of biographical information available at the website. But the other thing I want to do as a plug for the Court of Appeals is they've now visited and brought their court to every single county, and this was an endeavor that I think was primarily started or at least pushed along by Judge Baker. So they have taken actually the court to hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers. They've been to rest areas, retirement homes, high schools, colleges. So they've made a real effort to get out there, and we are committed to getting the judiciary out there. We don't want to be the least understood branch of government. So we do have a robust website. You can watch these judges in oral arguments. You can read their opinions. There's a lot of biographical information. For your local judges, if they're on the ballot, we are public streaming at the time those hearings so the public have access to it. We have electronic filing. We have a website called mycase.com, which is looked at by millions of people right now. Instead of going to the courthouse to read an opinion, you can pull that opinion right up on your phone. So if you have other ideas for how the judiciary can be more transparent, we are very open to them. But there is a lot of information out there now. Thank you.
Thank you for joining today's announcement. That concludes today's event.